We interrupt our program to bring you this important message.
Over 17 NFL seasons, Mick Tinglehoff anchored the Minnesota Vikings offensive line during the glory days of the franchise.
The game is over, and the Vikings are going to the Super Bowl.
Tinglehoff joined the Vikings as an undrafted free agent out of Nebraska in 1962. He would go on to start every single game he played for Minnesota, including all 4 of the franchise's Super Bowl appearances. Tinglehoff blocked for Hall of Fame quarterback Fran Tarkenton and 4 Pro Bowl running backs.
When you block for Fran Tarkenton, you really have to be on the go. You have to maintain contact with your man all the time, because when Fran passes you, he'll probably be back again.
Tinglehoff was no stranger to the Pro Bowl himself, being named to the team for 6 consecutive seasons. Now, in Tinglehoff's 32nd year of eligibility, the 5-time All-Pro will take his rightful place in Canton.
Hey everybody, welcome to episode 26 of Vikings Uncensored. And of course, as you saw just before we came on here, tribute to the late great Mick Tinglehoff, who sadly passed away on Saturday. So we wanted to do a little tribute to him. And
it was great to see the guy get his gold jacket before he passed away.
Mm-hmm.
You know, hopefully the same thing can happen for a couple of other guys that are fighting to get in there.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you know, Tinglehoff, arguably the best center this team's ever had. Or, you know,
he was amazing. He was before my time, but
yeah, mine too. You know,
legends live forever, man.
Right. So rest in peace, Mick, and you know, we salute you and condolences to your family. But so we'll get into it here. Got a couple of quick news items before we review the Bungle in the Jungle that we had last weekend.
The Chinese buffet.
The Haduhua?
The Chinese buffet.
The Chinese buffet.
Yeah, is that what we're going over? Oh no, that's a different podcast.
Yeah. That's Food Uncensored.
Yep, my bad. Bungle in the Jungle. Gotcha.
So again, you know, other than not a whole lot of news. Like I said, we wanted to do the tribute to Tinglehoff. The only other thing really that it popped in the Twitter feed here, this as we record on Tuesday morning, when I was scrolling through before we recorded here, word has come out that San Francisco at some point in the last week or two or whatever had inquired about trading for Cam Dantzler. Now,
I heard that too. It's just like whispers, really, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I would listen to what they give up, but just like with Dantzler, you know what Mike Hughes did this weekend, you'd hate to have that happen too.
That's
quite a bit.
And that's the thing, you know, we saw Dantzler at the end of last year was starting to play pretty damn well.
Well, according to PFF, you know, our best friends and our best guides around here. Just kidding. No pun intended or nothing like that. But
yeah.
Dantzler from week 8 on of last year was rated the best corner in the league per PFF.
Right.
So I mean, there's
you take that with a grain of salt, but
right.
I mean, if I really don't think, unless San Francisco was to blow us away with an offer, you give up on him already. That's two of your top 3 picks from last year that are already gone. That's not a good look for Spielman.
Unless you're getting a good deal for him.
Yeah. But, the way it goes, like you said, with Mike Hughes.
Then you go on and pull the plug on Dantzler. I mean, this guy, like we've said before, this guy is supposedly the cornerback whisperer. Well, I could go on a rant all day, but I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, and we'll get into some of that when we start breaking the game down here in just a second. But that's the big news anyway so far for the week. Of course, injury report doesn't come out until Wednesday, so we don't know
right. Our bad if we can't predict injuries. So
yeah, and we still don't know what the status of Anthony Barr is. Is he going to play this week? Christian Darrisaw.
I like what I see out of Vigil.
Yeah. So, but we'll get started on the recap of the shit show in Cincy, or whatever you want to call it, from last week.
Bungle in the Jungle. Like
the Bungle in the Jungle. I think that's probably a good name for it. But starting off with the offense, of course, we got the ball first and then proceeded to false start on 2 of the first 3 plays of the opening series.
Yeah, very frustrating. It was disgusting that first half.
Yeah, and we had 4 penalties total on that opening drive. CJ Ham had the initial false start. Forget who the other 2 were. I think
Hill had a horrible day.
Yeah. And I
think he had one of those too.
Very possible. I mean, when Hill wasn't letting people run by him, I mean, it was a bad day for the offense, or the offensive line.
And for one, why the fuck is Hill starting?
Because
the fuck is Hill starting?
Because we didn't think we needed to bring in anybody to help us out until Darrisaw is ready to go. We're fine with Rashad Hill. We're fine with Rashad. No, we're not. The only offensive lineman who graded out worse than Rashad Hill this past weekend was Garrett Bradbury. And Bradbury was just awful.
This is the entire league, right?
No, this is Vikings. I don't.
Might
as
well be in the entire fucking league.
Yeah, I don't have a PFF subscription, so I'm just relying on what I can find, Twitter and whatnot. And the only thing I found were the rankings for the Vikings. But 3 of our 5 offensive line guys: Garrett Bradbury, 37.4, Rashad Hill, 49.7, and Oli Udo, 57.9.
Udo will get better.
I hope so.
He will.
I mean,
he will. Cleveland didn't look very good either.
He gave up a sack, I know, in that one play. I didn't get his ranking because this just came off the bottom 5, and then there was a couple other of the, I think.
A lot of that has to do with, we'll get there.
Yeah, I'm not going to get into the rankings of anybody who's not an offensive lineman because there's too much. It just confuses everything too much. But back to the penalty thing. We had 18 total penalties, I believe it was, 16 total penalties.
14 of them came in the first half, right?
No, there was 16 total, 12 total accepted, and 10 of them were in the first half.
Right. Okay.
But so we did clean it up.
Doesn't really matter once you get that high.
Yeah, we did clean it up a little bit in the second half, but come on.
Yeah.
We
were challenging for the most penalties in the game there at halftime.
Mm-hmm. And I mean the entire offense, the first half was just putrid.
Like you said, if we were recording this directly after the game, like Drew and Ted, we would be just as livid right now.
Oh God, yeah.
We've had a couple of days to stew about this, so
yeah. But, looking at some of the other offensive issues, especially in the first half, Kirk started out real slow, wasn't sharp, was holding the ball way too long. I know
I was waiting for it. That's what I was going to bring up earlier. He was. That doesn't help when your quarterback is holding the ball for fucking 8 seconds.
Yeah, granted, the offensive line played a very poor game, but on 2 of those sacks, the one that got us down almost to a safety, and then there was one other one.
He had time to throw.
He did. I timed it from the time of the snap till the time he either got sacked or threw the ball. One of them was 8 seconds and one was 9 seconds. Right. I don't care if you've got an all-pro offensive line. You can't hold the ball that long. And Kirk just stood there in the pocket. He didn't move. He didn't, A deer in headlights. Yeah. Well, he just stood there like a statue. It's like, no, I'm just going to stand here. Right. Oh, he might be. No, and Ryno. He wasn't trying to throw anybody open.
No pocket presence whatsoever.
No.
Possibly the worst pocket presence in the league. I'm not putting this game on Kirk because Kirk had a hell of a fourth quarter in overtime. Yeah. That last drive in the fourth quarter was, if it didn't end in a touchdown, it ended exactly how it needed to. And with Joseph coming in, we'll get there. But Kirk had a good fourth in overtime as far as I thought.
Yeah. But, and I'm going to come right out. We're going to have the Kirkistanis coming after. Say, oh, you're blaming Kirk for this loss. No, this loss is not on Kirk, but Kirk did stuff that he needs to correct. So we're just going over that. We're going to go over that with some other players too.
That pocket presence was horrible though this week.
Yep. And then the combination of both that, the offensive line and the play calling, we had one pass that went over 25 yards and only 3 that went over 20 out of 49 attempts.
Yeah.
The offensive, I'm blaming the offensive play calling.
Develop. I understand that too.
Right. But the offensive play calling and the coaching in general this week was terrible. I mean,
let me tell you something.
Okay.
Gary Sr., here you go, son. Here's the family playbook. Here you go. Have at it, buddy.
Yep.
I seen fucking Gary Sr. all over that game yesterday.
1st and 20, dive up the middle. 2nd and 17, dive up the middle. We had 20 offensive plays that had to go for at least 11 yards for first down.
And we passed because we had to.
Yeah. And Zimmer even come out in his press conference after the game bitching that we had to run 3 wide receiver sets because we got behind the chains. I mean, that right there shows you his mindset is 1980s, 1990s, early 1990s football. He doesn't want to, earlier in the week after Irv Smith got hurt, and they were talking about everything, he was out there saying, well, we're going to have to run more wide receiver sets. And it's like, he was acting like, oh, do we really have to do this?
For implosion from the inside out.
Yeah. But this was probably the most unprepared I have ever seen a Mike Zimmer team.
I don't know if I'll say unprepared, but undisciplined.
Well, that too. And there's people out there that the Zimmer tubbies are out there. Well, you can't blame him because he's not the one jumping up. But you are the coach. The coaching staff has to have these guys disciplined and prepared to play the game.
Set up the players to be successful.
Not ours. It's not. Here's what we want you to do. If you fuck it up, it's your fault, not mine. Because
spaghetti, throw it at the window and hope that it sticks.
Yep. It's hearkening. It's coming back to the point again. Mike Zimmer is the defensive version of Brad Childress. He's got the kick-ass defense. That's great if it's run correctly. He doesn't give a flying what about the offense. That here, Clint with a K, you take care of this. Just remember that I want you to run the ball at every possible time you freaking can, but you take care of it, and I'll stay out of it until I don't like something.
Yep.
But yeah, so I mean, it was terrible. I could rant on the offense.
Yeah.
All day long, but
we're lucky this is only week 1 and that we have a chance to turn it around. And that honestly, we got some momentum going, towards the end of this game. Granted, it ended Man, by the time the game was over, I was so emotionally exhausted from what I had just watched.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I had been and as a fan, I feel like I got into a fight, man, or something, because I was just emotionally exhausted from what I seen.
Oh, I know. Well, I remember you texted me towards the end of the game, and you're like, "Can this just be freaking over already?" It's
Right.
It was rough. Now we'll roll over to the defensive side of things here. We'll get moving on so we don't get.
Oh, we'll go
off in the
around a
weeds
little
too
bit
far.
like we always do. We
Yep,
kind of
yep.
collect that, so
But
people enjoy it.
right back on now. We'll move on to the defense.
Absolutely.
Some good things there, but also some bad things. Couple of the big bads. For all the money that we put into fixing the run defense, we gave up 150 yards on the ground total, and 127 of them were to Joe Mixon himself.
Well, that didn't work.
Yeah. Yep.
They weren't running up the gut a whole lot, but they were running off.
A lot of those run plays were designed to go to the outside, which was very smart by Cincinnati.
Mm-hmm. And Hunter was getting chipped. He was doubled quite a bit, so he didn't have a big game.
It took him a little bit to show up, but once he did, he made his presence felt.
Yeah, he did end up with a critical sack in the fourth quarter there, but
I think that's what I think that helped rally the team.
Didn't hurt.
It was a big play at a big moment in the game.
Yeah, it was one that we needed. Beyond that, the secondary again didn't look very good, especially Rashad Breeland.
I'm going to give Peterson a little bit of a pat in the back here because you didn't hear his name a lot yesterday.
No.
I didn't see him in any bad spots. So Peterson, your first showing, it gets a good grade from me. You looked decent out there as far as
and
when your name doesn't get called, that's a good thing on defense.
Well, and they weren't even really throwing at him.
No, they weren't even throwing at him, which they were picking on Breeland quite a bit.
Yeah, and then once Breeland, when he did his Xavier Rhodes, just got burned for a 50-yard touchdown pass to Jamar Chase. I'm going to fall down and pretend that I'm hurt.
Yeah.
Yep. Then when
I don't know that shoulder, it looked like he might have had a stinger towards the end of the game.
Yeah, and he did have shoulder surgery before the season, and I know I was watching Mackey and Judd yesterday, and Judd had mentioned something to that effect. So, like I was saying, Judd said that it looked like he did, probably did tweak it a little bit.
I thought he might have had a stinger, or maybe something happened there. But at the end of the day, you always question whether or not his bad play led to a little bit of a stretch of the.
Yeah, I mean, you saw him on the sidelines a couple of times. He was kind of holding his arm, so I'm guessing it probably was.
Doing some of this, and a lot of that to me shows stinger related or something in the shoulder for sure.
So, but I mean, Breeland, like I said, for first impressions, didn't. For first impressions, he didn't. That's the thing.
Because you never get a second chance to make a first impression.
Yeah, he got worked. And a lot of that, I don't know, man, if some of that had to do with Woods over the top and the help that he needed to have and he wasn't getting over there or what, but I don't know.
Yeah, but again, didn't
all
watch
I
all
seen
20
was really getting burned, and then that was about it. I don't know if Woods was supposed to be over there helping him or not, but if that was the case, then you can put some of the blame on Woods as well. There.
Yeah, and I don't think he
was not a new day yesterday. I seen one good play out of Woods.
Yeah, it wasn't a great game for him either. Okay. Now, as for some of the good stuff with the defense, like we were saying, Nick Vigil had himself a pretty good game, I thought, when he, had to be forced into being the full-time starter there with Anthony
what
Barrow.
I seen out of Vigil. I caught myself a few times yesterday saying candlelight. Well, no, 2 days ago. Excuse me.
Sunday.
Candlelight coming out of my mouth was quite an occurrence. He got me pretty pumped a couple of times there.
Yeah, I mean, he got the sack early on. I remember it was the opening drive or the second drive.
It was beautiful. A lot of those plays he was making were nice. A nice big fourth down stop too, Foreman.
Yeah, he had 2 tackles for loss and 1 sack. Then again on the while we're talking about sacks, we did end up with 5 total. Vigil had
decent, but a lot of those came in the second half.
Yeah, and they were coming on blitzes too. Harrison Smith had one on a blitz. Vigils was on a blitz early.
That was a well-timed blitz there and a well-placed blitz coming on that down when
From
Vigil
Hitman,
got
yeah.
his.
Yeah. And then, of course, the other one we'd mentioned earlier, Daniil Hunter finally broke free and got one late in the fourth quarter on a critical stop that helped send the game to overtime anyway.
Griff was getting to the quarterback too yesterday, but he wasn't able to finish the play.
Who was that?
Griffin.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, seemed like he was a step slow a couple of times, but, you know.
He had some good jumps, but yeah.
Yeah, you know, but he hasn't practiced a lot and whatever else either, so.
Didn't see much of Weatherly out there either.
But then, you know, going on again with the sacks, the one that did impress was Michael Pierce. He had 2.
And that's after missing a year of football.
Yeah.
He came back ready to play.
You know,
I like this little sack dance at the end of the Winnie the Pooh.
Yeah, the belly rub and the big dance and whatever else there. Yeah, Ted Glover had put on Twitter during the game, that in his mind that ranks right up there with the Jared Allen calf roping and the Brian Robinson fish on dance after the thing there. So
on that Vigil set too, you had Pierce coming over the top looking like a fucking seal, like just flopping over Burrows, man.
You see something like that coming at you, you get a little frightened. I mean, that's a big man.
He's got some punch, man, but he has got some fucking strength though too. That's no lie. We all know that. Excuse my language there, people, but he's got some punch, but he's strong. He's a strong fella.
Well, and that's the thing. A week in, he's already halfway to being the sack leader for 2020.
Yeah. At the D tackle position.
Yeah, nose tackle.
Yeah.
Not even 3 tech.
Animal.
Yeah. But beyond that, you know, it was a mixed bag of stuff. I want to see more of them coming, or more of it coming this week, and we're going to have to. But we'll get into the game break.
Smith had a sack too, didn't he?
Yeah, he had one.
Good.
And we had 7 total tackles for loss. Vigil had 2. Breland had 1, which was a nice play. I remember that one. Michael Pierce had 2. Hunter had 1, and Harrison Smith had 1. So
you got to get that pick, Mac. Damn it.
Yeah, that if he gets that pick, we win that game.
Yeah.
You know, it's not. And you know, here again, we've heard.
You know what? Typical Viking fucking play there. Gets the ball, hits him right in the hands, and somehow it bounces up in the air,
and caught by the wide receiver. Yeah.
Yep.
But you know, and here again, I'm just going to touch on this. I don't want to get into it because I think it's the lazy way out. You've got half of Vikings Nation on social media out there cursing the refs because of that.
I was waiting to hear. I got onto that when you were going there.
That fumble in the in overtime by Dalvin Cook that wasn't a fumble, but you know,
that's the NFL, man. It's the NFL.
The thing of it is, you know, these guys are a lot of these guys that are complaining that it didn't get overturned here. If it had been Joe Mixon that had fumbled and they called to say, and they overturned it and gave him the ball back, they'd be bitching that we got screwed that way too. So,
yeah,
you know, blaming the refs is the lazy way out. There were way too many other things that we did in this game to lead us to a loss. Yeah, if we had gotten the ball back there, we probably would have won the game, but we didn't. And we're not going to be a show.
You can probably look at the percentages on the game, you know, at the end there, and they're probably all over the place.
Yeah, but we're not going to be a show here that's going to come in and blame the refs for a loss. No. It's not going to happen.
We call it what we see, man. And yeah. Do we think it was a fumble?
No.
But at the end of the day, we don't have control over that shit. So you got to go with what you're given.
Yeah. So we'll move on from the defense here. That's we got a couple quick special teams things. Our Ficken special teams were probably the best unit that we had this weekend.
Yeah, the special teams came out ready to play.
You know that
I've got to be nitpicky. I wasn't very pleased with what I seen out of Marset with his 1 return out of the end zone. I mean,
yeah,
kind of crumpled there. I don't know.
He should
either hit or miss on that return game, I believe.
He shouldn't have taken that one out, I don't think.
But... No. And then the way he went down was silly.
Yeah, but
I'm not out there, so I can't criticize too much. So
yeah, but the 2 big ones, you know, our specialists, Greg Joseph at coming down to the end of the game there when we needed to have that field goal, and we saw him in the preseason, he couldn't hit anything over 50. He nailed the first attempt at 53 and then of course got the icing the kicker with the timeout. And then if you noticed while they were in timeout, somebody from the Bengals, I don't know who it was walking alongside of Joseph in his ear.
No shit, talking shit or something.
Yep. And then Brian O'Neill comes over and he takes the guy and he's like, "No, you come with me, dude."
Yep. Even the commentators had mentioned something on that.
But then when they lined up again,
ice water running through his veins, man.
Yeah. And that was another thing, he didn't get all, fired up or whatever. He just, when he was done, boom, yep, I hit it. Let's move on.
Finger guns.
Yep. And then the other one, at least through 1 week, the decision to replace Britton Colquitt looks like a good idea.
Barry boomed like what, a 64-yard punt, 61-yarder?
He had 8 punts total for a 50.2 average.
I would imagine that's leading the league after week.
Got to be close. I didn't look at the punter stats, but his long was a 63, and he also had a 61-yarder.
Yeah, I don't know, but we got lucky on this one, I think.
Through 1 week anyway, and now next week he might have come up with a 37-yard average and be pooching 22-yard punts. We don't, hopefully not.
Consistency is all we need and want around here.
Mm-hmm. So with that, that's pretty much a wrap on the Cincy game. But now we do have our weekly awards for this game. We did this a couple of times during preseason. We want to celebrate the good and call out the bad for our players of the week. So
right.
With that, we're going to go off with our badass of the week first.
Who is that guy? Whoever he is one tough badass.
Okay, Lance, who do you have for your badass of the week?
Man, after that little discussion about Jordan Berry, he's my honorable mention, man, for sure. I put a little asterisk on his name for my honorable mention. But I'm going to have to go with KJ Osborne for his first game, getting some actual starting playing time. There's one play in particular. I don't even have to talk about it because everybody knows.
Mm-hmm.
It was fantastic. The effort. If we had an effort award just for one play of the game, he would have got it on that play. The guy had him wrapped up. All he had to do was drag him out of bounds. KJ fought through it.
Yeah.
And then to end the play with a little bit of spice and to basically use the Bengals defender as a landing mat was pretty nice. So I'm going to give the badass award to KJ. He has came in. He's rose to the occasion. He's proven a lot of us wrong. So
he's our official Renaissance man of Vikings Uncensored. So.
He is. So yeah, good job, KJ. You get my badass award of the week this week.
And we didn't really talk about the wide receivers much because there wasn't much to talk about, with the big plays, but Osborne, did show up as a legit wide receiver 3 this week. Thielen had his 2 touchdowns and everything, but I liked what I saw at Osborne, and he's continuing to prove me wrong and continuing to impress me. Keep it up, kid, because
I also like the wide receiver pass to Osborne.
Yeah,
that was pretty.
His first NFL reception came from Justin Jefferson, so that'll be a trivia question down the road. Somebody will bring up at some point in time. But for my badass of the week, I'm going to go Michael Pierce.
Going defense, good.
I had thought about Jordan Berry too and Osborne, but we've been sitting here waiting for a year plus to see what we got out of Michael Pierce, and we got a real good taste of it. Like we talked about, 2 sacks, 2 tackles for loss, and he was part of the reason why all the runs that we did get, or that they did get against us, were going outside.
Right. They were running away from him.
Yep. And then to show the amount of speed from the nose tackle spot that guy's got to go back and get 2 sacks. I mean, he impressed me this week,
Yeah.
So he's my vote. Congratulations to the two winners there. But now we're going to go on to the other end of the spectrum with our weekly Red Foreman Award.
Son, you don't have bad luck. The reason that bad things happen to you is because you're a dumbass.
Who do you have for the Red Foreman this week, Lance?
I'm going to have to go with Clint. He really came out and didn't show us anything. You know, I said preseason shouldn't have any basis on how he performed in the regular season. But to start out that game, we looked a lot like we did in the preseason.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of run, pass, pass, punt. Yeah. We need to utilize that play action more. There was some time there in the game when they think they're getting Delvin, fucking play action off of that.
Yeah, we didn't run very much play action at all this week, did we really?
No. And then when we did, it was successful.
Yeah.
We need to run some more play action. We need to run some more bootlegs. That's what we need to do. That's how we, especially going up against Chandler Jones this week, you need to be bootlegging it out to the opposite of whichever way he's playing. Get away from him.
Yeah. And we need to throw the ball down the field this week.
Yes. And I think bootlegs would also help, with the timing of those, getting more time to let receivers get downfield.
Right.
So, I also believe that Thielen and Osborne benefited from Jefferson seeing more double coverage this week as well.
Oh, I think so.
Anyways, I was going a little off road there, but
that's okay. We like to go off roading once in a while.
Yep. Your Red Foreman Award goes to.
Yep. My Red Foreman. I thought long and hard about giving this to the entire coaching staff, but that's a little too low hanging fruit. I think we all know. We talked about it earlier, and we all know how we feel about how that went. And since you took Clint, I'm going to go with one Garrett Bradbury.
Yeah, he was getting bullied all game.
He didn't look. He doesn't look any better than he did last year. And I honestly, after 1 week, I think Garrett Bradbury is going to be the 2021 version of Dakota Dozier, somebody that we're going to be bitching about every damn week.
Yep.
And honestly,
it needs to get solved. It needs to get solved.
It does.
We don't need to be bitching about it every week. It needs to get solved before it's too late.
Right. But we know how that works with the offensive line and stuff around here. And with Bradbury, I mentioned last year, the only thing that kept him from being the 2020 Dakota Dozier was Dakota Dozier.
Right. No more excuses, motherfuckers. No,
but, and then Zimmer comes out, when they're talking about, somebody asked him about Bradbury getting forklifted back into Cousins all the time. And Zimmer's response was, he's going to get pushed around a little bit when he goes up against bigger guys because he's a little undersized.
You don't fucking say that.
No shit, Sherlock. And while Cincinnati's interior line is not stacked with all pros or anything.
If you fucking know that, then fix it.
Yeah, wait till we start going up against
Akeem Hicks.
Yeah, some of these guys that have all pro tackles and stuff. It's going to be
fucking massacred by Aaron Donald.
Yeah. We're going to have to go, if this keeps up, we're going to have to see what Mason Cole's got sooner rather than later, because
anyways, to figure it out.
Right.
You don't let this go on any longer than it needs to.
No.
If he comes out and shits the bed again next week, you better be fucking figuring something out.
Zimmer's just going to come out and say, we need to play better, and then nothing will get done, and it'll happen again against Seattle in week 3.
They've been thinking about it. They need to do something about it. Obviously, they got Wyatt Davis taking snaps at center. They're thinking about.
Don't put Wyatt Davis at center, please. Don't put Wyatt Davis at center.
Do you kick Wyatt Davis into guard, move Udo out to tackle, and then put Cole into center? Is that the answer? I don't know, but what I'm seeing right now, it might be.
If we might have to this week, because Chandler Jones got 5 sacks last week. And we'll talk about this when we break down the game coming up here, but it could get really ugly really fast this week. But anyway,
we start this year 0-2 again.
Yeah. But anyway, we'll move on here because here again we can sit and bitch about this for hours on end, and we want to keep the show under an hour.
All they do is bitch at bitch. All you guys do is bitch.
Yeah. So to put a bow on week 1, we have one other thing to talk about, and that is the fantasy challenge, not only between Lance and I, but also between Vikings Uncensored and the Vikings Report with Drew and Ted. So between the two of us, Mr. Brunswick, congratulations. You won between you and I this week. Total score was 102.75 for you, 92.35 for me. So, but on a more important note, hey, VR, we whooped your butt this week. Total score between Vikings Report and Vikings Uncensored. Of course, VU takes the win this week, 195.1 to 138.5.
Holy shit.
I know I was talking to Drew last night, and he congratulated me when the Monday night game was like in the second quarter. And I'm like, well, you still got Hollywood Brown going. He's like, yeah, but the dude needs like 80 points to catch up. So you guys won, so we'll take week 1 victory.
Who was the leader of all points?
You.
Huh? Oh, I was.
Yep.
Me?
Yep.
Oh,
so you beat
I'm
all.
flattered.
You were first out of the 4. So it was you and me, and then Ted, and then Drew.
I am the champion, guys. So
for this week. And we'll make our picks here later in the show. So we for week 2 here too. But with that, we're going to roll into another one of our beer commercials. So you guys crack one open, sit back, and we will be back in just a minute. Okay, we are back. And now we look forward. We're done looking back. We're going to look forward now to this week's game in Arizona against the Cardinals.
Forward, not back.
What do you think about this, Lance?
We have our hands full. If I remember correctly, AJ Green's now in Arizona.
Okay. I couldn't remember where.
Are you shitting your pants now, Ryno? We have to cover DeAndre Hopkins, AJ Green, who's got a chip on his shoulder. And not only that, another starting caliber receiver in Christian fucking Kirk. How are we going to cover these guys?
Well, and what's even more concerning to me than those, which isn't a good sign to start with, Kyler Murray threw 4 touchdown passes last week and ran for a 5th.
Yeah,
and
he was balling.
and that kid is mobile as hell. And we all know what usually happens with a mobile quarterback against Mike Zimmer's defenses.
You better have somebody spy. You better have Vigil spying his ass all game next week.
Well, yeah, and hopefully, if
Kendrick's our best fucking pass defending.
Yeah, you don't want him being the spy if you don't have to.
Right.
And we still don't know if Barr's going to be back this week. If he does, I'm sure he's going to be on a pitch count. But
you know what I would do to help out Hill if Hills are fucking. I mean, Jones is going to feast. I would have another offensive lineman check in as an eligible receiver every single play to help Hill chip Jones.
Yeah, because as we mentioned earlier, Chandler Jones had 5 sacks last week against a good left tackle. What's he going to do against a horseshit one like what we've got right now?
If I was Rashad Hill, I'd be shitting the bed right now.
Well, that's
he's not. We've asked him to rise to the occasion, and look what fucking happened.
Yeah, he's a raging dumpster fire over there right now. Well,
the only reason I would like to have Rashad Hill on my team is to do one thing that he can do, and that's be a swing tackle in emergency situations.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he should not be starting.
The fucking starter.
No. We better hope that Christian Darrisaw is close to coming back, because if Chandler Jones has another week like he had last week, we're going to need Darrisaw to be protecting Sean Mannion's blind side in 2 weeks, because Kirk Cousins is going to be in a coma because Hill got him killed this week.
If the fans can see that Hill can't do the job, why can't the coaches see it either?
Because we don't know what goes on behind the scenes. We're not at practice and all this stuff where the coaches see all this stuff. You got Mike Zimmer, who couldn't care. Mike Zimmer would prefer that the offense didn't even exist. Just spot.
Mike Zimmer could put up 52 points if he wanted to. He just doesn't.
Right. We've heard that. We've heard that one for 2 years. The Vikings can score 40 points anytime they want. Then why aren't we?
Yeah.
Because Zimmer just wants his offense to do just enough to, let his defense take over and win the game for him. Mike, it's okay to score 35 points in a game, 42 points in a game.
You need to have that, put the dagger in every single offensive drive mentality in this league.
But that would mean we have to be aggressive, and we're not. We're a reactive team.
We're doing exactly what teams expect us to do.
Yeah. Oh, hey, Dalvin.
Yeah, Dalvin Cook. Okay, well, here's your blueprint.
Right.
To beating the Vikings.
2nd and 15. Run the ball up the freaking middle. 3rd and 18. Give a play. Let's run it up the middle.
You're supposed to set your players up to be successful.
Right. But we're not.
We're creative.
We're running the ball at all freaking costs.
We should be okay. I know this could be a little out there, but in my opinion, if I had Dalvin Cook and I was running things, I would be using him like the fucking Rams used Marshall Faulk back in the day,
or to an extent, the way Carolina uses Christian McCaffrey.
Yes,
put it, and we did line him up out wide a couple of times last week. I did see, but then I remember 2 or 3 times when we did that, then we motioned him back into the backfield, so he was there anyway.
You know what pissed me off? This is a random shout out.
The entire game.
The wide receiver screen on like 2nd and fucking 13.
Yeah.
We threw to Jefferson, and he's like, what the fuck?
Yeah. Right. Threw it right to the guys that, that were the defenders that were right there. And I think he get tackled for loss on that one, or.
Yeah. He's like, what the fuck? Why are we calling this play right now?
Well, and that's the thing. Clint needs to open up this damn offense, because if we don't.
He needs to start utilizing the goddamn play action.
Right. But if we don't start opening this offense up, I'm sorry to say, within another year at most, if the current coaching staff and everything is, granted, if we keep this up, the current coaching staff probably won't be here after this year. But we're going to end up with another Stephon Diggs situation on our hands because Jefferson's going to get pissed off that he's not being utilized correctly, and he's going to want to go someplace else.
You can have good players on your team and be able to use them all to your abilities and strengths.
Right. Dalvin Cook can catch the ball. You don't need to hand it off to him 75 times.
Everybody happy.
Right.
You just got to figure out how to do it. And now the way you're doing it isn't the right way.
Yeah. I mean, I'd be happy with balanced right now, but balanced does not mean on every pass play you're only throwing it 5 to 7 yards.
We aren't balanced at all.
No. And that was the thing with Kirk's throws. His average yards per catch this last weekend was 5.1 yards.
Yeah.
We threw 3 passes over 20 yards.
And I think, honestly, a lot of this, like we've been saying, it's not Kirk, it's the play calling.
It's the play calling. You know,
we could be looking at new offensive coordinators by week 5. We could be 0-4 or 0-5.
If we're 0-4 or 0-5, we could be looking at a new head coach by the bye week.
Yeah. And you know what? You know who we got coming up? Fucking Arizona, Seattle, Cleveland.
Yeah. So, as far as early season must-wins go, we need to beat Arizona this week because if we start 0-2, it's very likely we're starting 0-4.
Yes.
Because,
pull your heads out of your asses and let's get it going.
Because so I'm hoping like hell.
Our offense was number 4 in the league last year.
In yards. 11 in scoring.
There's no excuse for this year. This last game, no excuse for it. No excuse.
You guys have got one mulligan. You've already used it after game 1. I mean, we all had that Cincy game marked down as a win. Probably
the way I look at it as well, Ryno, and I know what you're getting at here, is if we lost this game, now we need to win the game that we were supposed to lose.
Absolutely. Which means we're going to have to steal a game. You know, I had us winning the first 2 and then losing to Seattle and Cleveland.
Yep.
We need to win this weekend, and then we're going to have to beat either Seattle or Cleveland.
All right.
You know, and I don't know, but
all righty. Yeah. We're both getting fired up. Let's move it along.
Right. So that's the biggest things, you know, I'm worried about too, like containing Kyler Murray, because if he has
offense has got to turn it up and defense has got to stay consistent.
Mm-hmm. And we need to do something like you said to stop or at least slow down Chandler Jones, whether it's putting in, you know, Ellefson's probably the best blocking tight end we have, and he was inactive last week.
Right.
Activate him and put him over there. We like running 2 tight end sets anyway. Yep. Put Ben Ellefson next to Rashad Hill to help slow Chandler Jones down so Kirk has time to throw the ball.
Yeah. Yep.
So we'll see how it goes, but you know, those are the big things. Arizona doesn't have a Joe Mixon type running back, so I'm hoping the run defense has a better showing this week.
Hopefully they game plan around Kyler Murray in the pass game.
Yeah. Well, but Cincinnati gave other teams a blueprint week 1. You're not going to be able to run up the middle against the meaty boys up there. So run outside the tackles.
Right.
So Danielle Hunter and Weatherly or Wanham or Griffin or whoever's on the other side, you guys are going to have to be playing the run out there a little bit more. And we don't want to have to start stacking the box to stop the run against Arizona because they're going to kill us over the top with the pass if we don't.
Yeah.
So you know, it's not like you can bring Harrison up and put him in the box or
that back end of that defense better be ready to go.
Yep. Because DeAndre Hopkins is one of the best wide receivers in the league, and it's not even close. And AJ
consistently
Green,
year after year after year.
Yep. And AJ Green isn't the receiver he used to be, but he can still burn you.
He still has that chip on his shoulder though, and he wants to prove people wrong. And when you're going up with a receiver of his caliber, a proven talent like that, it's, you know, who could go off.
Yeah. And even if he doesn't have the speed he used to possession wise, he's a good possession receiver. He, you know, great hands.
Yep.
He can be beating us underneath while Hopkins and Christian Kirk are going deep on us, you know.
Yeah, Christian Kirk is no pushover either.
No, he's not. So we're going to have our hands full. But with that, let's move on to the picks and prognostications section. We will start with the game itself. What do you think, Lance?
Well, I think we discussed what needed to be discussed before. I have a hard time picking against us, which you all will notice throughout the season. I always want us to win. Realistically, it looks like Arizona's got it in the bag, but I'm going to go ahead and pick the Vikings, and it's going to be a close one. If it, in my opinion, whichever team gets rolling first is going to take the win here. So hopefully it's us. I'll go with us winning this game. I'll probably just mark it down for the rest of the year. I'll probably pick it. I have a hard time picking not being a homer when it comes to picks. I want us to win.
Oh, and I do too. I just, I'm getting more cynical in my old age. So the
realist in me that's there says that Arizona's going to take the win, but I want to choose Minnesota. So
yeah. Well, and when we started the season, when we did our picks, Arizona was a game that I had picked for us to win.
Mm-hmm.
And like I mentioned a couple minutes ago, this is as close to a must win as you can get in the early season. And I think if Mike Zimmer has any ideas of keeping his job, even till the end of the year, this is a game we need to win.
Yep.
So I'm hoping that
this would set a lot of people at ease if we walk out of Arizona with a W. We would calm a lot of us fans down.
Yeah.
And that's what we need.
Yeah.
The best medicine is winning games.
So I'm going to stick with a win here. I think we figure out a way to get it done. It's going to be a tight game. May end up being a shootout.
Right.
We may have to throw the ball, and if we do that, then we're kind of might be in trouble because Clint doesn't seem to know how to call passes that go more than 7 yards.
Play action and bootlegs. We need to see some of those this week.
We need to get Jefferson involved more. We need to keep Thielen doing Thielen things, and then let Osborne pick up the stuff when the other guys are covered, whatnot. Get the tight ends involved more this week.
One last thing on Chandler Jones. It came back to me, Ryno.
Okay.
Chandler Jones could possibly have 10 sacks after the second week of the year this year.
Yeah.
10 sacks after 2 weeks. That's saying if he goes off on Rashad Hill, which is, why wouldn't he? It's Rashad fucking Hill. We already seen what happened this weekend. Mm-hmm. It's very possible Chandler Jones could be going into week 3 with 10 sacks under his belt already.
Like I said, getting back. I'm gonna pick the Vikings to win here. Like I said, it could very well be, both of us scoring in the mid to upper 30s, somewhere in there, but
it's hard to predict games every Sunday.
It is.
Any given Sunday is a real term, and I believe it.
Yep. So we'll stick with that. Now on to our fantasy picks for this week.
Right.
So again, this counts for both between Lance and I and Vikings Uncensored, Vikings Report. We go a quarterback, a running back, 2 wide receivers, and a tight end. So since you were the winner last week, Lance, we will let you go first again this week. Who do you have for your quarterback?
Russell Wilson.
Okay. And they are playing the Tennessee Titans. Me, I'm going to, and I went back and forth. I was going to take one of the 2 quarterbacks in this game, and I figured I'd save the other one for later, but I'm going Justin Herbert against the Cowboys.
Oh, nice. That's a good pick.
Cowboys pass defense still is not good.
No.
And with the weapons that Herbert has, I think he's in for a good game here. So
yeah, that's a good pick. I like that.
Okay. So then on to running backs here, I will go first. And I'm going to take Nick Chubb from Cleveland.
Very, very good. Very good. I'm going to go with Montgomery out of Chicago.
They are playing who again?
I don't know.
They're playing the Bengals.
I'll go with Montgomery. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, then on to the first wide receiver. Who do you have for that?
Let's go.
We're waiting.
I know, yada. Let's go Chase Claypool.
Okay. Pittsburgh is playing. Where the freak is Pittsburgh? Yeah, it doesn't matter. I can't find it.
Playing Seattle.
Oh, are they? Okay, yeah. No, Pittsburgh's playing the Raiders.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
So Okay. So for my wide receiver one, he made us look silly, especially Brashad Breeland this past week, and Chicago's secondary is a bigger mess than ours is. I'm taking Jamar Chase.
Nice.
Okay, so on to the second wide receiver. His quarterback got me quite a few points this past weekend. So I'm going to double up on the Ram players, and I'm taking Cooper Kupp.
Ooh, good. I'll go with Metcalf. Yeah.
So you got the chance to double there with Russell Wilson and Metcalf.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now I go with tight end.
You go
here.
for tight end. Yep.
I'll go with Waller.
Okay. Again, against the Steelers. And for my tight end, I'm going to go the original Gronk.
Nice.
Against
he had a big weekend.
Yeah, he did. And I
should say Thursday night.
Yeah, I had him on one of my fantasy leagues I'm in, and he was on my bench. So
yeah, I know that's a pain in the ass when
I hate
like
that
happens.
But the Bucks are playing the Falcons, who again are a rebuilding team, not very good. So look to Gronk to have a pretty good week this week again. So I'm taking him. So that's our picks for the week. We'll see how we stack up against each other and against Vikings Report here when we come back next week. With that is about all we've got for the week. Want to give a big,
pretty much covered it all today.
Yeah, I think we did. Want to give a big thank you again to the Boulder Tap House for sponsoring the show. Go check out their food. It's awesome. Craft burgers, craft beer, an atmosphere for the whole family. 10 locations in Vikings country in Minnesota and Iowa. So there's probably one near you somewhere. Thanks again to those guys. Thank you everybody for watching. If you have not subscribed to the show yet, please hit that little subscribe button down at the lower corner down there. Helps us out a ton. If you're on the road, remember to catch us on your favorite audio platform for podcasts. We're on most of those. And again, just thank everybody for watching. And why don't you take us out of here, Lance?
Thanks again, guys. Episode 26. Thanks for all gathering here on the Friday night, checking out the pre-game show. Man, not the way I wanted the season to start.
No.
Let's hope we can turn it around this week in Arizona. I'm hoping so. I hope. We will see you all next week, and hopefully we can have something a little bit happier to talk about. If you haven't yet joined up with the NFC North discussion group on Facebook, check them out. We talk everything NFC North. We will see you all next week, hopefully after a win.
We will see you guys.
Skol.